I'd like to welcome you to another weekly installment of What If Wednesday, where every single Wednesday morning I post a video going through last week's investing and collecting questions. Not saying I know everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be featured in next week's video. And one person's question will be featured on the thumbnail every single week. And if I did comment to you and say, great question, it might be used, and I didn't use it, please drop that same question again. And if it's a super long one, maybe try to shorten it up a little bit. And I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all the support. It really, really means a ton to me. So if you guys like this content, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a like. And just know if you do leave a comment, I comment back to every single person. Even if my comments quadruple from here, I'm still going to do that. I feel like it's the least I can do. And if you want to support more, you can now join my membership. It's only 99 cents a month. I post when new cards drop, some good deals, stuff like that. You can also check out my Instagram where I show off my collection. And I have an eBay store with 100% positive feedback with over 20,000 cards sold. And I'm also going to Card Party, so let me know down below in the comments if you are coming. I would love to meet you. All right, let's get to the first question. It's from Malcolm Higgins. This is the question on the thumbnail. If you had a chance to save money and pick up a graded card from a secondary grading company, would you? Do you think any of those companies are good? I bought an AGS, I think it's an AI grading company, 10 Secret Rare Crown Zenith Pikachu. Should I crack it and resubmit it to a better company? Is it a pain to send them in? All right, well, first things first, we're just going to take a little peek at some graded cards here. Here's the Galarian Moltres V in a PSA 10, sold for $320. Next, we got the Becca 10, sold for $449. Next, we got the AGS 10, sold for $269. Then we got the CGC regular 10, sold for $250. Then we got the CGC Pristine 10, sold for $395. So just looking at value-wise, Beckett is the most valuable, and this isn't even the black label. Then it goes CGC Pristine, which actually does have more value now than the PSA 10, which is $320. And then you got AGS here. So, I mean, the difference between $270 to $320, I'd probably just get the PSA if you're going to do it like that. But PSA did just buy AGS, and I honestly do believe a lot of these new grading companies are very good. I think it's going to be a good thing. It's going to make these bigger guys start, picking it up here. And I think the AI stuff is legit. I mean, the amount of information we're getting on our cards is just crazy. So I think it's totally okay, especially if you do not care. Like, I have a buddy who has a bunch of different graded cards from all different companies, and he loves it. He likes comparing them and stuff like that. Me, I have a little more OCD, so I like to stick to one graded company, especially on display. And there's a ton of other grading companies like Tag and Ace Grading. I mean, there's just so many, I can't even name them. So if you can get it for a really good deal, like let's say this was $200, that's not bad, compared to the $320 for the PSA 10. I think it's totally fine, especially if you are on a budget and you really just want that art. Now, investing wise, I don't know, I have no clue if AGS is going to be the new king in a few years. I don't have a clue. Most people love PSA just because it's been around super long. CGC, a lot of people think it's newer, but they've been grading comic books for a very, very long time. They're very reputable. And then Beckett is also very, very good. Beckett's probably my favorite, especially like slab looking wise. I feel like it's the most premium looking. So yeah, I think it's totally fine, especially if it's a good deal. If it's more like this, like we're talking $50, like not a ton of money, when you're already spending hundreds of dollars, I'd probably just get the graded company you want. All right, next question is from Al Pareja 3144. Hey man, I have the Gold Star Legendary Dog Cats and CGC 10s. Do you think they would be worth flipping as a set or keeping long term? I don't believe they are worth regrading with PSA, sadly. I have 1,800 into them. That is a good amount of money for those cards. So I'm not sure when you bought them, but let's see here. We got the CGC Suicune. These are last sold for 687. I'm guessing you're talking this newer 10. If you got this older 10 here, that's a different story. So I'm not really sure exactly what you got, but if you have this newer 10, I mean, if you do all three, it's barely reaching 1,800. So it's super tough. I do think Vintage will have its day again. It's like people forgot how good Vintage was doing during the boom. So I'm honestly not too sure if these will gain a ton more value. I really feel like it's going to take a very, very long time, or whenever the random Vintage boom is going to happen. But I do think it will happen, just not sure when. So if you did want to sell them, not really take a loss, Unless they are pristine 10s, that's a whole different story. But yeah, you could invest it in something else. I mean, honestly, you'll probably see more growth in some modern stuff right now compared to vintage. So yeah. Next question is from Jasper Lee 7011. What do you think about Gold Star cards? Are they good by now? They're honestly getting pretty cheap. If you can find it super mint, especially raw. Like if you're talking raw and you can find it clean and grade it, you can make a good amount of money doing that. But I don't know. Like the last question, as I put these together, I don't know how much more value they're going to gain. These were a lot more expensive during the boom, but I don't know. It could be a very long time before we hit that next boom. So it's a super tough question, but I am a huge fan of the Gold Stars. Like in my opinion, for Pokemon, it's like you got first edition Shadowless base set. Then you got like the Shining cards, first edition Shining cards. Then you got like Sky Ridge. And then like we got Gold Stars and Crystal cards and like the Legend cards and stuff like that. I feel like every few years we get something super popular. Like now it's alternate arts, stuff like that. So I do feel like Gold Stars will do decent down the road. I just don't have a clue when. But I do love them. All right, next question is from Nathaniel Hewitt 9334. What if I have a BGS 9.5 Charizard Holo Evolutions? Sell it or hold on to it for a while? That card is actually worth a good amount of money. So these are the last sold May 20th, $750, 9.5, $875 or best offer in April. But one before that sold April 21st for $549 or best offer. Let's see here. See what else we can find. We got a CGC 9.5 sold for $249. So yeah, it's a nice card. $750. I do feel like Evolutions is a little overrated, like for what it actually is. I don't even think the boxes should be that expensive. I do know this card is very, very hard to grade. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Like that card in that good of condition is kind of a grail for that set. And it is a reprint of Charizard. But again, I don't know if it's going to gain a ton more value, especially it is that 9.5. One thing too you can always do is if the card looks like mint, like you're not even sure why it got a 9.5, let's say it's just centering. I mean, 750 here. The last Charizard Holo that sold in a PSA 10 sold for $1,450 your best offer. So let's say it's just $1,000 or something. I mean, that's a good amount of value. So it might be worth even cracking and resubmitting with PSA and trying to get that Gem Mint 10. There's, a little risky, but it could possibly pay off because this card in a PSA 10 is a grail. And I think at that point, you could do whatever you want, sell it, do whatever, but you're almost doubling your money if you can get that Gem Mint 10. I know it says best offer, but let's say $1,000 or $1,200 or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool card. That 9.5 is nice, but I think there's a Beckett 10, Beckett Black Label, PSA 10. Now this could possibly be the hardest Charizard card to grade. So I do feel like there is a small chance that this card could just keep rising in value. I'm really not sure. But right now with Modern, and I mean, we've gotten 2 more reprints of this Charizard since this. But again, that doesn't really matter just because this card is so hard to grade. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. All right, next question is from Blood Wolf Gaming 5212. Do you think the Pikachu with Gray Felt hat is worth buying $90 raw? This card made me so mad. I tried to get this card like so hard. I don't think it's worth $90. I think this card should be $60. This was a free card, and they shipped out thousands and thousands and thousands of these. I don't know. Honestly, yeah, I'd probably wait a little bit just to see what happens. I don't think it's going to get a crazy spike because there is so many. I don't think it would hurt you to just wait a little bit longer and hopefully it goes down. I am going to be watching this, so hopefully we'll see it on a following Friday real soon. But I do like this card. It is very unique. Next, from Jay Foley, 1987. Keep up the awesome content. Which would you invest in right now? 10 Crown Zenith ETBs for $439 or 144 sleeve booster packs of Silver Tempest. All right, we're going to start off with Crown Zenith. So let's say you got 10 Crown Zenith ETBs and you go to sell them individually. Shipping is going to be anywhere from $5 to $10 a box. Let's just say it's $5 a box. So you're spending $50 in shipping. Even if you have them pay for shipping, it still equals out to where you're still kind of paying for shipping. So now we got the Silver Tempest. You got 144. you plan on selling these individually? Because if you do, it's going to be $3 a pack to ship these out, at least. So now a lot of people do like to sell these like the full art, all 4 packs with all the different arts. So that'll save you money right there. But if you sold it individually, you're talking like $500 in shipping. So I think it is a little safer to get the bigger boxes, ETBs, booster boxes, compared to sleeve boosters. Not saying sleeve boosters are bad. I'm actually a huge fan. You don't really care about the $3 in shipping when you go to sell a Timo sleeve booster for $65 or whatever it is. But you got to think about the shipping when it comes to this stuff. And then too, if you're going to sell all the sleeve boosters at one time, the amount of people that want to buy 144 sleeve boosters is very, very small. So I do feel like it's a little safer to do the Crown Zenith ETBs, especially Crown Zenith. The ETB is the best product for Crown Zenith. Crown Zenith is one of the best sets we've ever gotten. So to me, it slightly makes a little more sense to go Crown Zenith. But again, like I said, I love sleeve boosters. I love collecting them. I love displaying them. It makes me feel like I'm in a card store. So love them. But yeah, ETBs are probably a little better, especially for Crown Zenith. But all right, let's get to the next question. It's from Matt Quills, 1993. So I've been looking at the next set, Shrouded Fable. What do you think about the Kingdra, Greninja, Kingambit EX boxes? And also congrats on the baby. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love these boxes. Finally, we're getting some like legitimate promos. Couldn't stand some of these promos we've been getting, except for the ETBs. They've been solid. But I am for sure going to try to get a case of each one of these, especially the Greninja and the Kingdra for sure. So I'm a big fan. I mean, the Kingdra is just beautiful. They keep showing it with the card on its back, you know, like where you don't see the card. I really hope they don't do that because, I mean, I think this is going to be one of the better boxes for display. But yeah, I'm for sure going to try to get a couple cases. I'd like to get at least 3 cases of each one of these, but that's reaching. I most likely will probably just get a case of each, hopefully 2, but super beautiful. I mean, that art is just top tier. Going to be some of the best promos we've gotten ever. So love it, love it, love it. And I hope the set is good itself. I mean, not really sure what's going to be in it. It looks like this Horsey's in the Night Wanderer, so it's not looking like it's going to be just pure Gen 9, especially with these promos. So hopefully we get a good mix, but I'm getting excited. I really am. These promos got me pumped. Next, Curtis Letty 1408. How do you feel about Shiny Legends? I've had a lot of the Raichu GX boxes. Paid $5 each at Target, price matching GameStop back then. If you know, you know. Oh, I remember. And pin collections that I've saved since 2020, but they seem to have stayed pretty flat lately. Thinking about moving that money into something else. Again, honestly, I don't think they're going to gain a ton of value, especially those boxes are already pretty expensive. All right, let's take a little look. We just looked at the Shiny Legends ETB on my last Market Monday. That is going up. Last sold 309, 307, 302. But the thing with the pin collections and stuff like that, they're already pretty expensive. You do not get a lot of packs. And I feel like the promos aren't the best. They've already gained a ton of value, especially it sounds like you got them for a really, really good deal. You know, a lot of people don't like to do this, myself included. That's why, you know, I'm a fan and collector first. I don't really like to sell stuff, even when it gets super hot. But if you want to be smart and like really make some money investing, you gotta sell when stuff is hot or high. And I mean, these are $100 a box. I can't really see him going that much more over that, to be honest. Maybe 150 down the road. But again, it's just so tough. You can probably make a lot more money investing it into something else that's, you know, hot now or gonna be hot next, and that goes up, and then you sell it and you just keep, you know, making money. It's honestly the best way to do it for investing. Yeah, I would feel totally fine, especially you already made a good amount of profit on them, selling them and buying something else at the bottom, kind of just like what you did with these, and just keep working on that. But again, if it was me, I'd keep them myself because, like I said, love collecting that stuff. Next, the Pokemon Collector 123. Should I buy the Moonbreon Raw and grade it if I had $700? Listing on eBay. Very sketchy. Very sketchy to get an Umbreon on eBay and think it's going to grade in a PSA 10. Because everybody who has an Umbreon knows that they can double the value of their card just by getting a PSA 10. Looks like there's a fake one right here too, so be careful. You can tell it's fake just by that shine going through it. And it's only $595. But it looks like the cheapest one right now on eBay, I know your question was 5 days ago, it's $884 now. So it's gone up a little bit. Very sorry about that. But yeah, you might want to check it in person. And like I said, I think 99.9% of people are grading their Umbreons if they think it's going to be a 10. So I feel like your odds of getting a raw 10 are pretty unlikely. So I would not be expecting to get a 10. And buying a card right now when it's the hottest card in the world, it is a little risky. So that's why it's tough for me to just tell people, yeah, go buy the Moonbreon. It'll probably double in value. I don't have a clue. It could crash and go to $500 a card. All right, next question is from Starboy. Favorite PokeTuber these days? Thank you so much. What is your opinion on the Rainbow Charizard VMAX? I noticed that it's close to its all-time low of 158, and the last time it hit that number, it zipped right back up to 200. It's at 163, and I just got a clean PSA 10 worthy copy for 132. I feel like that card is kind of underrated right now. Well, let's take a little peek at it. I do like this card, actually. I think it is a very, very good looking card. But now it does come from Champion's Path. So now there's some bad and there's some good about Champion's Path. A ton of people chased this Charizard card. They came back into the hobby and the first box they bought was a Champion's Path ETB. I remember because I couldn't find any Champion's Path ETBs anywhere for like a good amount of time because everybody was buying them up. And I want to say they were almost like $90 on the secondary market, like right away. But there is nothing else good in this set. There's 2 good Charizards, and that's it. And you got a decent Charizard V promo in the ETB itself. But with people chasing that, coming back into the hobby, and this was the first chase they had, there's a small chance I could see this card possibly going back up, really taking off. But again, you compare this to an alternate art. Not many people are going to be buying this over an alternate art. Let's just check out the sales here. 527, 164, 204, 162, 162, 187. So, we already got some decent sales close to 200. We already have one at $200. So, you got it at 132. That's a solid deal. Especially, too, if you can grade it in a 10, definitely do that. Hopefully you get a 10 and you'll probably triple your money. But yeah, I just can't see it getting too much more expensive. I could see it being a $200 card, but again, I feel like the Pikachu actually is a better card than this, in my opinion. So, all right, next question is from Tyler Touchstone 1140. Should I sell my Alt-Art PSA 10s that I have to get a ton of sealed Scarlet and Violet product? Now, honestly, if it were myself, I wouldn't do that because, like I said 5 times in this video, I'm a collector. But it might be smart. It is always smart to sell when it's high and buy when it's low. If you stick to that, you'll usually always do good. So I do think that would be an okay idea if you sold maybe not all your PSA 10s or something like that, but just sold some of your PSA 10s and then invested in Scarlet and Violet product, which is basically at the absolute bottom, except for Paldea Evolved. But like Paradox Rift, I think is a sleeper set, Scarlet and Violet base, great set, stuff like that. But yeah, I do think that would be a good idea. But again, do not expect big gains from Scarlet and Violet anytime soon. Even Paldea Evolved, I feel like will come right back down when we get the next reprint. Like we're talking 2 to 3 years before we even see what's happening with Sword and Shield. So just remember that if you do that. But it is a solid idea. All right, next question is from Matthias Deputy 3541. Invest in rock cards with the options to let them grade or buy instantly graded cards. What would provide more gain? Greetings from Belgium. All right, so when you get raw cards and you get them graded and they become a PSA 10, that's going to be the best value. But just know that's not that easy. A lot of card shows, card shops, they all get their own cards graded. They know when a card looks decent. They're like, oh, I'll get this graded. The smaller shops, I feel like sometimes don't do that. I've actually found a lot of good raw cards at small shops that did grade in a PSA 10. But when we're talking, let's say a card is like some of these Trainer Gallery VMAX cards, textured, actually pretty hard to pull. If you look up some of the pull rates, they're not that much easier than an alternate art. But a PSA 10 is, I don't know, $40. The raw card is $15. I'm buying that PSA 10 every time. That's super low, good deal. You don't have to worry about the hassle of, is it going to get a PSA 10, stuff like that. So when we're talking like that, I'm always going to get that PSA 10 or whatever company it is or whatever I want. But you're going to get the most value if you do hunt for some raw cards and send them in to get graded, or if you pull it yourself, stuff like that. But again, it's never a guarantee. So I always do like to find those good deals of these PSA 10 cards, for $20, $30, $40, $50 even, maybe even $60. I feel like that's a solid deal. To get that card, raw, mint, pay the money to get it graded, wait, not sure if you're going to get a 10. I feel like it's worth the extra, $20, $30 you're paying. So there's definitely some different options, but I honestly like to do both. I like to look for raw cards that'd be a 10, and then I like to buy those really good deal PSA 10 cards that I think will gain value in the future. So, all right, next from Mikey Butters 6. Can you talk me through your process? I know when a new set drops, card prices can be inflated for several months. That being said, what if there's a card you believe in, i.e. Eevee from Twilight Masquerade? I jumped in at 35 in case it shoots up. Would you advise against this? Or do you think there are some cards that are okay to get into from the jump? So what I like to do when a new set comes out, and I think there's going to be some decent value in a set, I always like to take a chance opening a few boxes of something. Not 3-4 booster boxes, but even if it's just an ETB, whatever it is, I like to take a chance to pull that, chase card or whatever card you want, because in the beginning, the cards are worth the most. So I've actually made a ton of money, like opening cards on pre-release and, pulling the chase card and selling it right away because I just wasn't a big fan of it or whatever it is. But to buy a card right on release because you think it's going to do super good down the road or like pop off in the next few weeks or something like that is very risky. It's going to be up and down, up and down. Odds are you're going to probably lose money more times than you're going to make money because the way stuff is popping off, especially at $35 for an illustration rare. I mean, I don't know. I think it could easily be a $50 card, $60 card, and I really hope it does for you. But there's always a better chance that it's not going to pop off like crazy. It's just right now is really weird for Pokemon and new stuff is getting hyped and stuff like that. But regularly, I always recommend to wait as long as possible. Like as long as possible. Like even right now, Paradox Rift and Scarlet and Violet base set, Paldea Evolved. Paldea Evolved is kind of going up a decent amount now, but a lot of those cards are just getting to their cheapest values. Or they did maybe a month ago. Like Paldean Fates, Temporal Forces, stuff like that. I feel like those prices are still going to drop down a good amount. It just takes time. So yeah, I'd honestly just take your chance on a few boxes, have some fun opening some cards. You're gambling a little bit, hopefully pulling, something big, and then just wait a little bit before you start buying singles. But again, you can take chances on cards like that. It is fine. I mean, worst case scenario, that Eevee I don't think will ever go below $20, ever. So I feel like, worst case scenario, you lost $15. Best case scenario, shoots up to 60, 70, maybe even 100. I don't think it'll reach that high, but you never know. It is Eevee. Eevee's special. All right, next question is from Chris Repetto, 2832. Is it smart to buy boxes, ETBs, and just hold them for years and years? I like them as display pieces. There would be no reason they wouldn't go up, right? I'm with you. I think ETBs are the best for display. They blow booster boxes out of the water. And yes, ETBs will go up. They will not gain as much value as a booster box, but I do think regular ETBs will have a very good spot in the future, especially when a booster box is $1,000 and the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box is $500 and a regular ETB is $200, $250. A lot of people are going to be buying the regular ETB compared to the other two. All right, what do we got next? This is from a member, Jesse MTZ0299. Thanks for answering my question. One more question. So what makes up a master set and are they worth collecting? Well, someone answered half of it down below on what a master set is. It's just, every card and every variation. But no, I do not think a master set is worth it at all, especially right now with Modern. You are going to spend so much time and effort and money getting all these random reverse holos and stuff that you don't even really like. All these Vs and EXs and stuff like that you're really not a big fan of. Now, it is a lot different for Vintage. You got to think we didn't have nearly as many sets. The sets were not nearly as big. You got to think some of these commons and uncommons, this was the only Pokemon card of that Pokemon at the time just because there wasn't that many Pokemon cards. So I feel like they stood out a little more and a little more special. Nowadays, I wouldn't waste all my money on reverse holos, getting all these basic EXs and all that stuff you don't even really love. Just collect the stuff you love. That's why right now, I only collect special illustration rares and illustration rares for the Scarlet and Violet era. I don't collect the gold cards. I don't collect, the full arts or the trainers or anything like that. I don't even collect the special illustration rare trainers because I'm more of a fan of the Pokemon, and I feel like a lot of the trainers are very lackluster for Pokemon, like in the actual show and game and stuff like that. So if I can save anywhere from $50 to a couple $100 not doing the master set and putting them into more special illustration rares or whatever it is that I actually love, I'm going to do that every single time. Especially, it's not that easy to sell master sets. They do take a while. You'll be sitting for a little bit. So yeah, I just stay away from master sets now for Modern. It's just too hard, too many sets, too many cards. Great question. All right, next is from Dice Diener. Thank you for last week. It helped. New question. Do you think singles or graded cards are better to invest and sell? I like having both myself. I feel like both markets are tough. Both markets are definitely tough. I like to buy them both at the bottom. So like I said before, I love buying PSA 10 cards for $20, $30, $40. And I love buying raw cards at 25, 50 cents, $1 a card. I'm doing that right now with a ton of trainer gallery cards, just buying them all up for, as cheap as I possibly can. So it definitely is tough, but when you buy at the bottom, it makes it a lot easier and it's not as sketchy. Stuff might move really slow, but you never know. When you buy at the bottom, stuff could take off and you're making a good amount of money. But all right, last question is from Kono Hemiya. What is your favorite Pokemon? Do you have a small collection of that Pokemon you could share? Personally, I love Heracross. I have a small binder where I'm trying to collect all the Heracross cards. Also have a small display of figurines. Super good question, and I love Heracross. You have great taste. For sure in my top 10. Some of my favorite Pokemon are Dratini, Dragonair, Dragonite. I love Machoke, Suicune. I even love Chen Pao from the new generation. I just had a silver Bengal cat who passed away, and she really, really reminds me of Chen Pao. I think that is a super, super good legendary Pokemon. And I love Mewtwo. I actually just showed off my entire Mewtwo card collection on my Instagram. You can definitely go check that out. And yes, I definitely do like a lot of the older Pokemon, but you got to think, we didn't have that many Pokemon. When somebody starts now, they have over 1,000 Pokemon to obsess about. You go play a game, there's Pokemon from all different generations. When we played our Gen 1 game, it was just Gen 1, So Generation 2 is actually my favorite generation of all time. I mean, in my top 50 Pokemon, a ton of them are Generation 2. But yeah, if I had to choose my all-time one favorite Pokemon, which is super hard, it's probably Dragonair. Dragonair or Suicune. Really, really tough. But all right, that was today's What If Wednesday. So like I said before, drop your questions down below for a chance to be featured in next week's video. And one person will be featured on the thumbnail every single week. And again, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a like. Check out my Instagram. You can join my membership. And just know if you comment, I do comment back to every single person. And if you want to check out my last Pokemon Market Monday, watch this video right here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.